Hi, Internet people. I am back to my normal reviewing schedule. Not reviewing Doctor Who anymore, but I will when it comes back on. But that won't be for a while, so I am back to reviewing Marvel movies and also other TV shows and other fandoms that I am a part of and things that I love. So thank you if you watched my Doctor Who videos. I hope you enjoyed those. Those were fun to do, especially my last one, which seems to have gotten a lot of views. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching those. Hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's. I'm back, like I said, and I'm back. My next Marvel movie review is Thor: Dark World. Now, this comes 2 years after the first one. It also comes after the Avengers and Iron Man 3. And this one, I think, was very much anticipated because at this point, we love Thor, we love Loki, and we love seeing those two interact, and we love, the expanding Marvel universe. And so seeing more of it, I think audiences always love and they always enjoy. And I'm not sure exactly what the rating was for this one, but I think it was mostly positive. I think the first one was, I think, pretty successful. It had a lot of really interesting twists, and it had, obviously, it was introducing Thor. It was introducing Loki and those things to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, it had that going for it. This new characters, this new story. Now we're continuing on those characters and on their narrative. So I'm gonna start things in this review. I'm gonna talk about things that I think were funny, things that I think were interesting, some of my questions, and just an overall rating in the sense of 1 out of 10, 1 through 10. So starting out, we see Loki, the first thing we see, one of the first things we see, and he's talking to Odin, and their conversation is very telling because Loki's just like, forgive the swearing, but he's decided to doesn't give a shit anymore. He doesn't care about what Odin thinks. Maybe he does a little, but he's not bothered by it. He's, totally gonna call out Odin on everything, and he's not gonna care. He cares about his mother, though. He cares about Frigga, and, she's not very happy with him either. Though Odin, you could argue, is a little harsh in saying that he's not going to see his mother anymore. Which, obviously, no matter what Loki's done, I think still that strikes me as harsh. But, as we all know, and I think more from deleted scenes, we see that Loki does keep in touch with his mother via the magic that they both share and they both practice. So that at least is a consolation, and it seems neither of them care if Odin finds out about that. Anyway, we also see Thor and the Warriors 3 fighting a battle and just keeping order, keeping the peace, defeating their enemies, and I think I've seen a comparison between Thor in the first movie and Thor in this movie that here he's a little more mature. He still loves adventure. He still loves the fight and winning the fight, but he's not as reckless or, bloodthirsty anymore. He's more like, he does, of course, defeat his enemies. He will fight, of course, but he's also like, yes, I will fight you, but I'm not filled with so much rage anymore. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and also we see Jane again, and we see her little ragtag team, Darcy, who's brilliant. I love her. And Ian, and we see Eric Selvig, who is kind of bonkers for a lot of this movie. But fortunately, he, as we all know, kind of gets over that and helps save the world. Anyway, so, yeah, the villains in this movie are the Dark Elves. And obviously, I love seeing Christopher Eccleston. He played the Ninth Doctor, and it's cool to see him play a villain in a big movie. It's nice to see him on my screens again. So that was cool. That was very neat to see. And as always, I think this movie, narratively, it really was strong. And maybe this is just my personal bias, but I think it was strong when it was building up and leading to that battle on, was it Svartalfheim? Wherever the Dark Elves were, wherever that battle where it's Jane, it's Thor, it's Loki, it's Malekith, it's Dark Elves, when they first meet, when they first, are gonna battle it out, and they're gonna try to get the ether out of Jane, and, all that kind of thing. I feel like the movie knew that needed to be a selling point. It needed to be a big thing. It needed to draw moviegoers in, and I think it really did. And maybe after that, they're like, oh no, it didn't work. We gotta extend the battle, we gotta extend the movie. I'm not against how they extended the movie. I just feel like narratively, I feel like it was clear that it was stronger up to that point, not necessarily after. Though I am glad that Jane did not stay the damsel in distress, and that she was able to recover from all of that and be able to help save the world and, live and not die. So that's very good. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying I feel like narrative-wise, that leading up to this huge, massive convergence and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad how this battle went out. It's very epic, very wonderful. But I think some of it was a bit drawn out. And I think, if I'm truly being honest, I think maybe we can agree that narratively, all that had Loki and that led up to his supposedly dying, that was a little bit stronger than the end of the movie or what came after that. That's kind of my personal opinion, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe that's a little hard to do when you have a very popular character and then you seem to kill them off, but the movie continues anyway. Not that people didn't want to see the rest of the story, it's just, I don't know, I feel like maybe something could have changed to, make the last third of the movie, or less than a third of the movie, a little bit stronger. But that's okay, it's not a big problem. I just think that, I don't know, that maybe some things could have been changed to make that final sequence a little bit better. But that's okay. That's fine. I'm going to continue my review. So, this is going to be jumbled. It's not going to be in order here. So, bear with me. So Jane gets infected with the ether. She gets infected with this, I don't know if we learned in this movie, but as I think we find out later, it's basically an infinity stone. I don't remember which one. I'd have to look it up. Sorry, I don't have that information right now. But anyway, yes, she's infected with that, and it's this powerful thing that, unfortunately, she's not going to survive. It's just probably not meant for a human to contain. So, she doesn't die instantly. It's contained within her, and it seems to be defending itself, really. But Thor has to take her to Asgard, see what's wrong, and obviously I love all their interactions there on Asgard, her seeing his world, and her getting to meet Odin and Frigga, and all that kind of thing, and that's very, very interesting, and I'm glad that even after a little bit, Odin seemed to warm up to Jane. He didn't hate her, he wasn't looking down on her, but he backing up a little. I don't know if he. In the beginning when he's talking to Loki, how humans and Asgardians are not so different, that they both live, they both die eventually. And as Loki so snarkily says, though, give or take 5,000 years, that obviously Asgardians will die, and they can die, but they have a much longer lifespan than ordinary humans, or Midgardians, as they would say. But Thor doesn't seem to mind that Jane is human, but in this instance, it will prove to be something that will kill her when combined with in ether that maybe someone who's more powerful, who's not a human, would be able to contain, but she is a human, so she can't. But as the movie goes on and that interactions goes on, what I liked, this is again, sorry, it's a little bit jumbled, but we see Thor going to Loki for help, and we see Loki just be very, we see him kind of. Well, initially we see him be very arrogant, but after the Dark Elves initially invaded and broke out some of the prisoners, we see Loki being very chill in the middle of this battle. It's a hilarious moment. But he also instructs one of the bigger creatures, he basically directs them to the throne room. I think it was the throne room. And later, that pretty much leads to his mother being killed. And he couldn't have known that at first, of course, but I think later, when a guard tells him that his mother is dead, and we see him, the start of him raging, the start of him just, his grief just coming out and through his magic, and and then we see him, his illusion, when Thor goes to see him for help, and you initially see Loki being, his arrogant self, but then Thor's like, Thor finally sees through his illusion. Is like, come on, drop the act, drop the magical facade, and then we finally see Loki as the broken demigod that he is, or the broken frost giant that he is, and that he truly is devastated over this. And as much as I wish that Frigga hadn't been killed, that it at least spurs the brothers to work together again. So I guess it's a positive thing. I wish it could have been done some other way. But I'm glad that Frigga defended Jane, that, she, could see that Jane and Thor were happy, and that, she had to see that before she died. And she died defending herself. She died fighting. She didn't go down without a fight, so that's a good thing. But yeah, Loki agrees to help Thor, after Thor lays out the conditions that, hey, before, I believe that my brother was still in there somewhere. Now that doesn't exist to protect you. So if you betray me, I'm gonna kill you. And Loki's just like, okay, yeah, fair enough. When do we start? He's not even fazed by that. He's probably expecting it long before this, but now that it's finally come, he's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. What do you need? And so obviously we get that very memorable sequence with Loki and Thor trying to break out, and first Thor with his friends trying to figure out a plan to break out and to go fight Malekith and take the ether to him and see if they can devise a plan to destroy it. And it plays out, it all does, and then obviously, like I said, that memorable scene where Loki is impersonating different people and using his magic as they're walking, as they're walking towards, I think, the ship they're going to use. And so obviously it's really hilarious when Loki impersonates Captain America, and we hear Captain America's name, Chris Evans cameo, yeah! That was obviously a very hilarious moment, and, it's very, like I said, very memorable. And then, but right after that, you see the guards pass by, and Thor and Loki are, temporarily hiding from them, and Loki's like, come on, give me a weapon, give me something, and, to defend myself in this, and then, Thor puts, very fancy shackles on him, and Loki's like, really? And Thor's just like, I thought you liked tricks, though. I'm so proud of Thor. He finally pulled one over on Loki instead of the other way around. It's usually the other way around, but he finally did it. That's awesome. So yeah, on Earth, everything's quiet and steady, but on Asgard, things are going down. Loki and Thor and Jane all escape with the help of the Warriors 3, and, they obviously, it's hilarious them trying to escape, and, the column's breaking, and statues being decapitated, and, all that kind of, it's very memorable, hilarious sequences. They try to get away, and, it's also hilarious when Thor pushes Loki out of the ship, but so he can land on this much smaller ship that they're taking, and the big ship was a distraction, and, as Loki and Thor and Jane are on that smaller ship, Loki's like, hey, you lied to me. I'm impressed, man. I'm not even mad. I'm like, yeah, hey, you're learning. Obviously, I think Tom Hiddleston really enjoyed playing Loki, and, plays him really, really well. So that manic sort of not desperation here, but there's this manic gleam in his eyes. He plays it so well that, when Loki's finally out, he's finally out of his cell. He's, moving towards being out of Asgard. He has that ship and he's piloting it through, basically between, realms, dimensions, they're really tiny, trying to slip through. And, Thor's like, are you mad? And Loki's like, possibly. It was just like, that expression was just, he's not scared, he's just like, he's finally out, the wind's in his face, probably feeling pretty invincible at this point. So when you're watching the movie for the first time, and they get to where the Malekith and the Dark Elves are, and they, bring the ether to him, and, all that kind of thing, and now they're on their way, and they're finally in that realm, but they have, they're getting there, the brothers start arguing, and they start fighting, and it's both expressions of their own emotions, their own feelings, their own kind of conflicting feelings, and it finally gets to a point where, their mom wouldn't want them to fight, but, she wouldn't be surprised about it, so, in a sense, they kind of said what they needed to say, and then they seem to be able to move past it, I guess, a little. And I read a comparison somewhere, switching topics a little bit, that where Odin said that human lives are fleeting, he says this to Thor too, that human lives are fleeting, they're not going to last as long as ours. What's the point of dating a human or marrying a human? They're just going to die very quickly. And Loki says too that he says essentially says the same thing, but where Odin says that humans maybe aren't worthy or whatever, that Loki might also feel that way, but he what he says is, human lives are fleeting, yes, but it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt when they die. When they die well before you will. And I think it's very interesting, the difference there. Anyway, moving on. If you watch the movie for the first time and you see the three of them moving up to where the Dark Elves are, and you wonder what's going to happen, or if they'll succeed or not. And then we suddenly see Loki push Thor, and everything's going, everything's crazy. You think Loki really has betrayed Thor, and that, oh no, what's going to happen? And Thor's hand seemingly gets, cut off, and everything's, going to hell in a handbasket. But fortunately, Loki and Thor were on the same side, and that it is all part of the plan, and it's really, really awesome. And it's great to see them work together. So this moment the film was leading up to, that they finally got the ether out of Jane, and Thor tries to destroy it, tries to, end it all right there, but it doesn't work, and Malekith is more powerful than ever, and the battle, not big battle, but a smaller fight ensues, and we see him defend himself, we see him defend Jane, even when, the Thor is trying to destroy the ether, Loki protects Jane, so hey, moment of humanity. We see this not final, but it almost seemed like a final battlefield. Do you know what I mean? It almost seemed like this would be where the movie would soon end. I wonder what the movie would have been like if it had ended here. Well, I wonder if people would have liked it more or less or whatever. I'm curious personally, if it would have been better or worse or whatever. I don't know, but I'm just kind of curious about how that would have gone down if it had ended there and there hadn't been a whole other sequence after that. Anyway, in the ensuing fight, Loki gets killed, and we also see Thor, who we had seen throughout these movies trying to get Loki to come home to be his brother again, but it hasn't worked, and, but we see here that Thor still loves him, and that, Loki did care about Frigga, and I think deep down, he cared about Thor too, and so, very bittersweet moment, but then the battle still continues, because even though Jane is free, Malekith is more powerful than ever. So now we go to Earth. We go to, I think, London, and we see Darcy and Ian get Eric out of mental institution, where incidentally, Stan Lee's cameo. Yeah, yay for those cameos. It'll be really, really sad when we don't have them anymore. Anyway, yes, we get to Earth. We get to the battle that's going to happen, the finale, essentially, the convergence, which is upon them, which is about to plunge the universe into darkness. And it's obviously a very epic battle. It's, it's enjoyable. It's, trying to figure out how to stop it, how to, what they can do. And I'm glad that, obviously, I think it's very positive that Jane is recovered enough. She can help. She can science a solution out of this. And, they can all work together. I think that's really awesome. It does make for some humorous moments. It does make for some memorable moments. And I'm glad that, Thor is able to defeat Malekith and essentially avenge his mother, and at this point his brother too, and that's a great moment. It's awesome. It's very spectacular. It's just my personal opinion that we feel the loss of Loki at this point. He's a very popular character, so continuing to the final battle without him almost it's a little bit less memorable in my personal opinion. You can have a different one, that's okay. But anyway, nearing the end of this movie, we see that Loki didn't really die. He survived. No idea how. I'm sure we'll find that out in the next Thor movie, which I think comes out next year. Can't wait for that. But we see that he survives, and he also goes back to Asgard to report to Odin. Well, he obviously disguises himself to report to Odin that, well, it didn't find Thor, but we found Loki's body, and we don't see what Loki does with Odin. We don't see if he kills him or if he imprisons him forever or what happens. But we see on Earth the battle is won, but Thor still has to go back to Asgard to, answer for what he's done because he kind of, committed treason escaping. And so, his girlfriend and her friends and his friends too are left on Earth. Well, Thor goes back to Asgard to face Odin, who is actually Loki impersonating Odin, and and Odin's saying that basically, I don't remember his exact words, but basically saying you did a good job, you're a good man, all that kind of thing, speaking from my heart, that kind of thing. I'd like to hope that there was a little bit of Loki's sincere emotions in there. Take from that what you will, I don't know, but under the guise of being Odin, I'd like to think that maybe he could let some of that slip through and it not be conspicuous. But yeah, we see Thor not wanting to be king, but wanting to be a good man, and I find that really powerful. So yeah, I think I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10. Overall, I think it was a really strong sequel, even though it definitely a different tone from the first one. I think this one was trying to be darker, hence, well, not necessarily the title, but just in general. So yeah, a few other kind of awesome moments. Jane slapping Loki, Darcy and Ian and Eric's interactions are great. Eric's reaction to Loki having died, he's just relieved, because, well, if we all remember in the Avengers, Loki kind of mind controlled him, and that can't have been pleasant. So, to hear that the guy who did that to you is dead, that, obviously I don't blame him for being pleased, but at least he had the grace to apologize to Thor for that. But anyway, a question I have, which I kind of already have stated, I wonder what Loki did with Odin. Did he end up killing him? Did he imprison him forever? What? I'm very curious about what went down about that. And I wonder if we'll ever see any flashbacks about that. And obviously at the end, we see that Loki has clearly not died and that he now sits on the throne of Asgard. And I can't wait for the next Thor movie to see all that be revealed and to be brought to light. I wonder if we'll see Jane again or Darcy. I personally want to see Darcy and Loki interact because I think it would be really, really fun and just a great thing for the movies to do. Well, this concludes my review of Thor the Dark World. I will be posting other reviews of other Marvel movies soon, and I'll also be beginning to post reviews of Angel the series, which was a spin-off of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I have recently begun to rewatch, so it's fairly fresh in my mind, so I thought I would make videos about that too. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want more fandom rambles from this girl right here. And if you have already subscribed, thank you very much. Thank you for watching my videos and just sticking with me. I hope you have a wonderful new year and that you follow all of your New Year's resolutions and just have a great 2016. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.